With us right now is a man who was with Senator Graham on that final trip to Ukraine. He joins us from Poland now, and he just received the Medal of Freedom from President Zelensky himself. A close personal friend to Senator Graham. He was Senator Graham mentored him in many ways. Chairman Mike McCaul joins us of Texas from Warsaw. Well, Congressman, how do you put in perspective what we now know about the passing of Senator Graham?
It was shocking to me. I was on the train from Kyiv to Warsaw when I found out about it. It's a sad day for America. The Senate lost a giant this morning. He was a mentor, as you mentioned, and a friend to me. We shared the same worldview as you and I do, Brian. We believe that we're strongest at home when we're strong abroad. Projecting strength around the world makes us safer here at home. You know, Lindsey and I are both products of the Cold War. He was in the United States Air Force. My father was Army Air Corps bombing the Nazis. But we shared that same view that I think tempered by the Cold War, the Soviet Union, the evil empire that Ronald Reagan talked about, peace through strength. That whole philosophy, I always knew where Lindsey stood on the issues, whether it be Iran, whether it be Communist China in the Indo-Pacific, or when it stood to Russia in its invasion of Ukraine. And how fitting for him, his last day on earth, to be with the president of Ukraine after meeting with the president of the United States, who gave his strong support for the efforts to have Ukraine win this conflict. The idea of the Patriot battery systems, Patriot interceptors being innovated and built in Ukraine, the idea of the political support President Trump gave him. And Lindsey had a lot to do with that, Brian. Lindsey was constantly in President Trump's ear, shaping his foreign policy, and I was right there behind him. You know, I'll never forget being at the Munich Security Conference, and Lindsey invites me to a dinner, and it's John McCain and Joe Lieberman and Lindsey Graham. You know, John McCain, his great mentor. I view Lindsey Graham the same to me, as a mentor to me. It's a sad day for me personally, but you know what? The last thing I talked to him about was the Russian sanctions bill that he had been working with the White House to get basically the nod to introduce. We agreed that this week, coming back home, that we would introduce that tough Russian sanctions bill. And you know what? We, in his honor, to preserve his legacy, we are going to introduce this bill this week. And I can think of no greater honor to Lindsey's legacy than for the Congress to pass that bill. He would want nothing more than that.
Congressman, I know he really respected you, and President Zelensky really loved that Senator Lindsey Graham cared so much, as did you. And that's how you got that award. And we're seeing pictures of it now. You're getting this award today because you're going to be leaving Congress in November. Sadly, Senator Graham is now gone. But I want you to hear his last words publicly about what he thought was happening with that war. Listen to this.
I've never been more optimistic than I am today that we have the formula to end this war. Help Ukraine be more lethal. Let those supporting Russia to know it's going to be a price to be paid if you keep doing it. And to try to find an off-ramp.
He doesn't just say off-ramp, but he went on to say about Vladimir Putin giving off-ramp so he can save face. But he wouldn't say that optimistically if you guys aren't getting briefed about a change of what's happening in that war. And Vladimir Putin feared those sanctions. They got over 80 votes in the Senate. They wouldn't put it to a vote unless President Trump would sign it. Is it your belief that President Trump will sign it this week? Not the hope, is your belief he will?
Yes, I do. The last communication I had with his team was that they got the nod from the White House. And so it was our plan, and it still is, to introduce this tough Russia sanctions bill this week. Senator Roger Wicker, the chair of the Armed Services Senate Committee, is on that bill. It's our intention not only to introduce it this week, Brian, but to name it after Lindsey Graham in his honor. nothing would be more fitting for him. He's so articulate, so courageous, such a patriot, such a visionary. I love talking to him because he was so creative. We would bounce ideas off each other. What would be a great security guarantee for Ukraine if Russia violated the agreement? Things like that. And I know that this bill that we worked on the last year was really near and dear to his heart. Again, I can't think of anything more fitting than for Congress to pass it. It's painful for me to watch that video, just because the hurt is so recent. We have lost quite a talent and an American patriot at that.
And Congressman, what I think people don't understand, they keep saying he was a hawk. He's not a hawk. He was concerned about our security, and he was willing to confront our enemies. And whether it was President Obama, President Bush, or President Biden, not much so much Biden, but definitely President Trump twice, he would work with that leader to achieve what he thought was in our nation's interest. And if he thought in our nation's interest, confrontation was the only way, that's why he would go for it. Not that he liked war.
That's exactly right. He was not a warmonger at all. He believed in the doctrine peace through strength, as Ronald Reagan taught us in our generation. In fact, when he was looking at Ukraine, he would tell you the reason why he wanted the Patriot interceptors to go in to protect Ukraine from ballistic missiles. The reason he wanted to pass his Russian sanctions bill was not for war, but rather for peace, because that pressure, maximum pressure campaign, is what will get Putin to the table. Remember, Zelensky, as I talked to him yesterday, is ready for a ceasefire and to come to the table to negotiate. We talked about Lindsey. We talked about the Russian sanctions bill. That was Lindsey Graham's vision.
Gotcha.
It's Putin that will not come to the table. It's Putin right now that is not going to agree to a ceasefire. And only by the threat of sanctions and these interceptors will we achieve that result.
I know, Congressman, you went out of your way to join our show tonight as a tribute to him, and I really appreciate it. So does our audience, to give a real close look at the impact he's made on you and the rest of the country and leaders around the world. Congressman Michael McCaul, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.